Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors.
Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time.
All right, thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guests.
Hello, I'm Garrett.
And I'm Colton, and we are Under Utopia.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Why don't you tell us each a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do, give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Yeah, I'll start us off, man. My name's Colton. I play guitar in the band. I do some of the songwriting. We put the band together probably 2 years ago, and we've been rocking ever since, doing the DIY stuff, doing the punk scene, doing a lot of the community building type stuff. So we're getting at it, getting the music out there, trying to work on recording more music while we're also playing shows.
Hell yeah. And what do you do?
Yeah, I'm Garrett. I play the bass guitar in this band. I started playing guitar, and then I switched over for this band. And I've pretty much been playing bass exclusively since, and trying to become a better musician with these guys. It's great.
Oh yeah, I'm also a bass player, but I started on bass. So
I saw your bass up there.
Oh yeah, big fan. Good. And then I guess let's backtrack a little bit. How did the band come to be?
I think it's just through Craigslist, actually, is how I met Garrett.
Sheer will.
Yeah, sheer will. That's straight up. Honestly, perseverance is one of the biggest parts of being in a band, is continuing to kind of roll with the punches and to meet people. And when we linked up, the first thing that stood out is that, one, we're into the same era of music, both really huge fans of early 2000s and 90s era music. And it's pretty natural just coming together with riffs and such. And so we're like, geez, we're going to have to find a drummer. So we found some drummers. We've been jamming with our guy for quite a while, and it's been pretty natural getting the chemistry together.
Hell yeah. I dig that. And then more on an individual level, what got you each started in music initially?
My family, I'm the youngest of 5, and my older brothers had metal infections in their brains where they would just listen to that all the time, and they still do. My dad played a lot of rock music growing up. Guitar Hero 3 was a big influence on me. I like the way it feels to play rock music.
Yeah.
So
oh yeah, I dig that.
I keep doing it.
I mean, straight up, dude, being able to do Guitar Hero was kind of a cool way as a kid to figure out oh man, this is actually a lot of fun. I want to do it for real. Thing for me was I grew up out in the middle of nowhere on a farm, so there wasn't anything else to do. It was either cows or guitar. And it ended up digging
churning butter.
Yeah, dude, just churning butter. So I wanted to do something different. So I ended up finding this old guitar and kind of learning how to play it. And very similar to Garrett's, I was surrounded by metal growing up. And so I think that's kind of the reason that we have some heavier influence, but we're definitely the soy boys of a lot of the bands we play with. We're usually the softer band.
Gotcha.
Which we enjoy. We like kind of bringing some variety and bringing something unique.
Yeah, well, definitely in the DIY scene, I think that's kind of just a recurring thing now. Everybody's allowed to be on every bill if they want to be.
That's what I was talking about at the last show. Like, it's fun to have a bill that's like all metal, but it's also really nice to go to a show where like you hear a bunch of different genres in one night.
Yeah, it's like a miniature festival.
Yeah.
As long as it's arranged properly. I think when it comes to those kinds of things, it's cool to have like the like more chill thing to start it out, or like a chill band in the middle to kind of space out the experience. But
music, you know.
we'll dig into that more in the middle. Before we officially get into what y'all do in the present day, I do have a couple foundation questions I like to check in with everybody on. And this first one, it's one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you each bought with your own money?
Oof, I'm about to embarrass myself. I think I was in 6th grade. And like I said, I grew up on a farm, and so it was country music everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And on TV for like New Year's, I heard Holiday by Green Day. Yeah, and I think this is like right when it came out, 2001, you know.
What album is that?
It's off of American Idiot. It's Green Day's American Idiot, and it was the first album I bought, you know. And even going back, you know, it's not the best Green Day album, and
Dookie is.
It's kind of in there. It kind of towards the, you know, in my opinion, towards the decline of the music that I really enjoyed from Green Day. But, you know, being like 7, 8 years old and hearing that for the first time and realizing that there is something different, I had to have it.
Yeah.
I had to have it. And so that was the first album I bought, was American Idiot, Green Day.
Hell yeah, I dig that.
Heck yeah.
What about you?
I'm a Zoomer, so physical media kind of started dying, but I mean, like, I listen to a lot on streaming platforms. But the first one I bought was, I think, Random Access Memories by Daft Punk.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Yeah, super not rock at all, but I love Daft Punk and certain electronic music.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, absolutely bangers.
Very much so. And then what was the first live show you each went to that was like specifically one you wanted to go to?
I went to French electropop with my friends back in high school. It was this musical group called Yell, Yelle.
Okay.
Super fun, just like dance electropop. She kissed me on the cheek afterwards. She's a really pretty French lady, so that was fun.
Hell yeah.
I was like, I love shows.
That's all it took.
Yeah.
You know, mine wasn't until a lot later because, like I said, I mean, it was pretty isolated where I lived. But in 2011, it was kind of before he blew up. I went and saw the rapper Logic.
Okay.
I think it was 2011 or 2010, and it was when he only had his mixtapes out. It was a 50-person crowd. I mean, it was just bananas to go and see him. You know, somebody that I'd been listening to for a couple of years, and then to go see him live, and I'm like, "Where's everyone at?"
Yeah.
And I mean, he put on such a good show. I think Dizzy Wright was even there, like,
Okay.
and did it. Skizzy Mars was there. Like, there were a lot of like up and coming rappers that were there, and I think it was the Peter's Room in Portland is where we saw him, and it was just like, it was the coolest thing. I was like, dang,
That's rad.
especially since it was such a small concert for an artist that was about to blow up. It was sick, super sick.
Well, damn, and 2011 Dizzy Wright was probably a really cool experience too.
Very cool. And Logic had a feature, or Dizzy had a feature on one of Logic's songs, and we didn't know he was going to be there, and he came out.
Oh, okay.
So it just like, it was mind blowing.
Yeah.
You know, it was bananas. It was the coolest thing.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. And then before we officially get into it, do you each have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
I'd say so. I think that, you know, I did bands and stuff when I lived in Central Oregon, and like I took it pretty serious then, but I really felt like I hit my stride when I moved over to Portland, because it really felt like I kind of was where I belonged, where I should be, like doing what I should be doing. And at that point, it all kind of became more natural, and I could kind of take it, not necessarily that I was taking it more seriously, but it just, everything was kind of swinging better and working. So I think I really hit my stride when I moved over to Portland. But around probably high school age is when I really started to be like, I want to be in a band. This is what I want to do.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty cool. I started playing guitar when I was like 16, and basically it took me a couple years to get good enough to where I wanted to play in front of people. But once I was able to, I was like, I just want to be in a band so bad. I'm so tired of playing by myself. So basically just like joining the band, I guess. Well, no, just like my whole life, I kind of wanted to take it more seriously, but playing an instrument is not really something that everyone does nowadays, and it's really hard and not very fun before you get good. So it's hard to find people that want to do that with you. But once we fucking started hanging out and jamming together, it just like never wanted to stop. So I guess that's
Hell yeah.
when it started. Yeah,
It is like that's kind of a big part of the recipe is finding the people you vibe with, you know. And I think that was a big reason on why it's worked so well is because you get the recipe together and it's like, all right, we can start cooking finally.
Exactly. Yeah, no, my early band experiences were a little rough until I found like my main one.
Yeah.
And then that really like catapulted my entire reason for wanting to continue to do music. So I fully understand that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. But now let's go ahead and let's get on into y'all in the present day. We are going to get a super easy one out of the way. How'd you pick the name?
We looked for what's
alliteration is cool.
Yeah, that's it.
We were thinking about just like alliteration, random words that would have like kind of deep meaning and like could be interpreted in different ways, like Under Utopia came out, and we had Under Mass Utopia was like a possible name.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds kind of cool too. Doesn't really make sense either, but it doesn't have to.
To me, Under Utopia it had a meaning with it as well. That it's this idea that we're, the world as a whole is always working towards this utopia where everything's great and everyone has money and everyone's well off. But we never really quite get there. There's so many people living underneath, this utopia. And so it's even like a visual of, there's
the poverty line.
It's the poverty line. There's people living above it, but then, all the exploitation for people to be able to live the luxurious life, they have to exploit so many other people. And so Under Utopia is this idea that if you see this perfect utopia, what's underneath of it holding it up?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the idea around Under Utopia, and the alliteration, of course. You guys look cool together.
I was going to say, I am personally a big fan of alliteration, hence Jimmy's Jambox. I'm right there.
Oh yeah, you understand.
But also it's a cool name because, first of all, easy words to spell, Under and Utopia, not difficult ones. Utopia is not one you see a lot though.
No.
And so and
Travis Scott.
Yeah. So it's like having it there kind of like it's something that feels different, but also it's a name that makes you think. You know what I mean? Because it's like, is it like underneath like Utopia as a whole? Is it about being like it as the cover for like being in it? Like there's a lot of dimension in the name itself.
The wording is mysterious.
Yeah.
That kind of makes it fun. Are we underneath Utopia, or we're all under a utopia?
Exactly.
And that makes it fun though, because then people come to us with their ideas and like, oh, I didn't think of that.
Exactly.
Which makes it cool. And
sometimes it's confusing because it's like, what do I look up? Like, we're under Utopia. And so they're like, I have to find them under Utopia.
So they just type in Utopia and they're like, you guys can be found under Utopia, right? And it's like, no, our band name is.
I guess they don't have any music.
We are under Utopia. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I dig that. Now let's go ahead and let's get on into your writing process. And let's start right at the beginning. When it comes to getting a track started, how do y'all usually go about it?
I usually workshop them kind of like solo style, and we'll work them out on guitar or work them out in Fruity Loops a little bit and kind of make the bare bones of it. And then, when it really becomes a song is when it comes to the band, where they add some of the caveats and the embellishments and the beauty of it. They really turn it into a song. I come with the skeleton and the guys put the meats on, put the meat on, put the bones on, or sorry, I put the bones on, put the meat and the skin on.
Oh yeah.
Wrap it up into an actual.
It is kind of like you have the meat and then we have like the bones, because rhythm section is kind of like the structure, but like either way, we're completing one individual person.
I think he might be more right, because it's like I kind of have all the muscles and everything, but they don't really stand up on their own.
Yeah.
The guys truly do kind of add in the bones of it that holds the whole thing up and makes it real.
Yeah.
More tangible.
You bring the toppings and the cheese, they bring the sauce and the crust.
That's me, dude.
Hell yeah.
Stretch that dough out.
Hell yeah.
These for days.
Oh no.
Wheel it up.
Yeah.
Wheel up next.
Hell yeah.
Got you.
Now, do you, because you've mentioned two things now that I want to kind of ask you a quick question. You saw Logic as your first show. You write in Fruity Loops. Did you ever have like a realm in like rap or hip hop or anything similar?
I listened to more rap than rock probably.
His gold chain.
I love rap music just because it is different than what I produce and what I make. And it's just, I love going to something different and taking some influence from that. And so I listen to rock music, of course, but I also really like R&B and I also really like hip hop.
Okay.
Hip hop head for sure.
Then what is that? What led you to Fruity Loop over like any of the other options?
It was most user friendly.
Okay.
It was the easiest one for me to use because I thought about getting like Pro Tools. But I was just like,
yeah, Pro Tools has an in-home setting. Like when Logic and Ableton and even Studio One are available, it's usually not. But I'll get super technical. That's not what we're here for. I was just wanted to ask that real quick. Getting back into the writing of music, once you guys get a track started, you get it going, you're in the room together. How do you usually go about any like creative differences?
Sometimes one of us will just stop playing entirely and just kind of talk about it. And then sometimes we'll just start the song over again and again. Trial and error a lot of the time, or you just go home after a failed day trying to write a song and you just keep thinking about it and kind of writing it in the parts that you might be skeptical about or something.
Okay.
I think that's kind of why the passion piece is so important. It's because like you do have to persevere.
Yeah.
Where the song's not working and like you can kind of see it, but you're like, gosh, something's just not fitting quite right. And so I agree with Garrett. You take it home, you workshop it a little bit, you kind of just keep grinding through it. And I think the big thing is just being open, to feedback on it as well. Garrett will tell me, he's like, dude, that part's just not working. And I was like, now that you said it, like now I kind of get it more.
Gotcha.
Being open and being flexible, I think is huge.
Okay.
Helps me be able to not get too attached to how I think the song should sound.
Yeah.
And kind of recognize like, okay, the song's going to evolve on its own.
It's easy to overthink.
It is.
Very much so. Very much so. And at the end of the day, there's always so many options that like there can be this concept of right and wrong, but really there's just the decision.
Yeah.
You just get to choose.
In the end, no one cares but you. So,
and really, until you record it, you can change as many times as you want.
Oh, we've done that.
Like it's so like
even after you can change it.
Yeah, I've always loved the like workshopping it live. You know what I mean? Like you play it a few times, you're like, oh, this seems to get this seems to get that. Like it always seems to move things a little bit differently.
Sometimes like there's like a verse for 4 that feels better at doing it only 2 times.
Yeah, exactly.
I love how much you can get from a crowd too. If you go out and you workshop them. The song's not garbage, but you're still kind of trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And you take it out live and you're like, dang, they really responded to this part. Like we should either expand it or highlight it differently or make it more beautiful because it helps to take them out and to really see how people react. Sometimes they shock me. I'm like, oh, I didn't know they were going to think this was a banger.
Yeah.
And then they're really into it. And it kind of helps us with the direction on our songwriting process to like, okay, like we took it out and they really threw the energy back at us. Like, let's make this thing work.
Yeah. Well, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's easy to give the people what they want when they tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
For real.
Well, and there's a different type of commitment, I think, that comes from only being able to play it once. When you're at a show, you can't be like, hey guys, we're going to start this one over.
Yeah.
I just didn't really feel like we were bringing the energy. Like, when you're practicing it, you're like, oh, we can stop in the middle.
Yep.
Like we could just not do this and have a discussion. So live, you're like, no, we have to play it the way that it is. And then afterwards, you can really like kind of dial in on it.
Yeah.
Sure.
And actually segues well into the next question. How long does it usually take you guys to get comfortable enough to feel that you want to perform a track?
Depends on the track. Cause sometimes like I'll make just like a straight rock pop song where it's just straightforward and very easy. And it's, maybe got like 3 riffs. Sometimes we make songs where we're trying to be more progressive about it and make like returns or make like time changes and things like that in them. Those ones take a little bit more time. But I'd say usually when we come with this song, I'd say we work on it for maybe 2 months or so. And then we try to take it out and play it.
Hell yeah. No, I dig that.
Yeah, I agree. It depends on the song for sure. Because some of them are just fun little dance bops. Some of them are like sadder ones with lyrics that are meant to be listened to.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, you got to make sure you emphasize the meanings.
Yeah, it's all about the music.
Hell yeah.
Really.
And that actually segues well. Let's go ahead and talk about your music. So, I hopped on ye old Spotify and you guys got music going all the way back to 2023 and it's rad. I'm a big fan. It's the guitar is chunky, the drums are catchy, the bass is really full, and the vibe is very like congruent. Everyone is rocking on the same page, but also I appreciate the energy. It feels very like era appropriate, but it still feels very present. So it's like you guys obviously you grew up with the sound, but you're not trying to like recreate what you heard. You're trying to like continue it, at least from what I've gathered. And it's really apparent on your most recent work, Culture of Consumption, little 3-track album that came out in April. And it's cool. Each track has its own feel. Everyone, I feel, has their own moment. And it's got a good re-listen value, which I appreciate, because like it's catchy, but like not in that like meant to be hooky kind of way. You know what I mean? And it even right from the start, like the gang vocals in Proxima, that was the moment where I was like, all right, I'm going to hear the rest of this now.
Yeah. It's such a catchy intro.
Yeah.
It is, and it kind of makes the song, it really does. And I think that, as we continue to move forward with recording more music, like we still want to try to get the lightning in the bottle thing, which is hard sometimes, because you want to keep the energy alive, but sometimes you get burnt on trying to record it or whatever. And so with Culture of Consumption, we really just tried to focus on like that energy that we have live of trying to bring that into the studio. And as we work on our full-length album that we're trying to do over the next 6-8 months, that's the goal.
Yeah.
To be able to try to capture that live sound, and I guess you call it like post grunge or something, or post rock, but trying to make it relevant while still, respecting the music that inspired us.
Yeah. Well, y'all are definitely moving in the right direction. So that's what you're going for. Like I said, I feel like it really it has a good like presence to it, which I think early work, that's what it should represent anyways. You know what I mean? Nobody has the perfect, polished, refined everything for their first works. They're still working it out. But like to be able to capture the presentation in that way, you guys are definitely moving in the right direction. Yeah. But I am curious to know, what are some of your guys' favorite tracks of yours to perform?
Oh, it's got to be Fee to Live. Fee to Live is one of our oldest tracks that I made kind of when I wanted to start the band. I made Fee to Live. You can find Fee to Live's one of them on Spotify from like 2023. And there's some about the song that, people get down to. I mean, the song is ultimately about, working that 9 to 5, having to get money to live, being born into it. But it's just something about it that everyone can relate to, and that it has this section in it that really is pretty chunky and slows down a little bit. That lets out a little bit of that, whatever Garrett called it earlier, like that metal
chutzpah
infection that you got kind of in your brain that you need to get out. It
scratches the itch, yeah.
It does. It scratches the itch. It's a banger. So I'd say Fee to Live is probably one of my favorites to play live.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Fee to Live is fun. The faster ones I like. That are Son of Darwin's always fun, because I like things that are challenging.
Yeah.
And we always seem to like go back and forth on how we should play that song, but it's always people always like it.
Hell yeah.
So it's fun.
It is. It's a good one.
Hell yeah. Sorry, I lost train of thought. I was so caught up in what you guys were talking about. Now I've got one last big question to go in this middle portion before we move on to the last bit. And this is probably the densest question in the interview. But, we've talked about your experience with music, the actions, the reactions, but on an individual level, what does music give back to you?
Back to me?
I'd say it's an outlet for me. I work a pretty stressful job, and I've got a lot of other things in my life that, I have obligations to. And there's something really freeing about just getting to go and play your music for people and people listening to it. And so it recharges me in a lot of ways. And I think that really that's what I want out of it is an outlet of something that gives me life, that kind of gives me creativity, that we don't have to follow the rules on. We can kind of do what we want to do with it and just enjoy it. So I think that ultimately I'd like to be able to play, huge shows at the Moda Center or have 1 million views on my album or whatever. But at the end of the day, just, playing local shows and having a couple people that know my songs, like it brings me a lot of joy. It gives me a lot of fulfillment and ultimately just kind of recharges my battery.
Yeah, I agree. It's cool. It gives me an ego boost as well as it gives me a cool place to hang out with my friends and see them. Because, we might not be able to hang out all the time, but if there's like a show, it's like, come hang out at the show. We can all hang out. It's going to be a fun time. And it always is. It's great to see people come out to watch you do your thing with your friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just a big party sometimes. So
that was actually a really cool duality answer. Because first of all, I appreciate how you put it, like the ego boost. Like it makes you feel good about
Yeah,
you.
I mean, people taking pictures of you on
Like,
stage, posting it on Instagram.
Yeah, nobody really
Feel
puts
cool.
it that directly, but I really appreciate that because there has to be this internal like appreciation for the moment on a singular level. But then also, you basically said you love the community of it. You love the group aspect as well. You like it for you, but
Yeah, I
you
wouldn't
also
be doing
like
this by myself.
everybody else there. Yeah, so I thought that was really cool. I enjoyed that. But now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions.
Ooh.
Yeah, and for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one is pretty straightforward. If the band could share a bill with one other currently performing act, it could be anybody as long as they're around right now and doing stuff, who would you each pick?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Well, okay, it has to be appropriate. It can't just be like the most famous band that you know, right?
I mean, it could be. You could have them open for
No
you.
way.
It could be, but like
I don't
that
wanna
show
get-
would suck.
Get upstaged that much.
You'd be like, who is opening? I don't even remember. Like,
No, you have them open for you. Problem solved.
Oh yeah, of course.
everyone's gone.
Yeah.
A lot is flooded.
Oh geez, man, that's a tough one. Honestly, I would love to open for one of my favorite one-hit wonder bands from the '90s, Marcy Playground.
Okay, hell yeah.
I love their discography all the way across the board, even like their not very popular albums. I'm just a huge fan of. It's not even like our music's like super similar to theirs, but I love John Wozniak's writing style.
Mhm.
So I would love to just get to play with a band that has inspired me so much. So I would open for Marcy Playground any day.
Hell yeah.
Any day I would be down with it because they've got some bangers.
Shit, probably my favorite like actual like boy band that exists right now is the Strokes. So I'd have to go with either the Strokes or the Voids.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Those are both rad options.
Love them. I just want to be in their presence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take that.
And then subsequently, who's a local act that y'all are aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
That we haven't gotten to connect with yet.
Yeah.
We've got lucky a couple times and got to see some really, really good local acts. So the ones that I think of come up are bands we've already got to play with.
Yeah. A lot of the times we meet people like through shows and we find out how cool they are and we're like, we want to play again.
Yeah. I will say we saw 2 nights ago, we played with a band called Magenta Wave.
Ooh, good name.
Rocked our stuff.
Yeah, I have been thinking about them since.
Hell yeah.
They were really good. They're a Seattle band. They came down and we opened for them, but geez, man, they were banging.
Yeah, they're super cool to talk to and super talented to watch on stage.
Hell yeah. Well, everybody, you know what to do. At them in the comments. Let's see if we can get a little show going.
Yes, get Magenta Wave on it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Get them in here.
And then for this next one, this is just a fun one. You guys really lean into this. This is a bit on the silly side, but I really enjoy this question, so I'll never get rid of it. If the band's music could be the soundtrack for any movie, what would you pick?
It's kind of an interesting question. We have an indie film here in Portland that
Oh, yeah, we did do that.
the film hasn't been like released or named or anything, but we're going to be featured in it, so we're excited for that.
Okay, hell yeah.
You know, the hard thing is I can't think of a movie where Under Utopia would do it justice.
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious, yeah.
Home Alone?
Yeah, we could do some Home Alone maybe.
I just imagine like driving really fast because that's like when I like to listen to really cool music.
Yeah.
So like
Hell yeah. Hey,
maybe some Tokyo Drift action.
I would watch that. Hell yeah.
Do some apocalypse movie or something. Some of our songs.
Calypto.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
That's a cool one for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, definitely like a lot of our music's inspired by social
Oh shit!
woes.
I can't believe we didn't say fucking. What is Fiji about?
Oh my gosh.
It's about
you're
a
so
movie.
right. You're so right. So I wrote this song Fiji based off the Truman Show, which
Oh,
that was the obvious one.
Yeah.
You know, people watching, knew everyone else being an actor, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that would be a cool one. Fiji would fit well if they ever let us redo the movie.
Yeah, if they want to remaster that movie,
Well, anybody who knows, no,
get Jim Carrey on here. Yeah, in the comments.
I'd be down for that. And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could each add one abstract instrument into the band, so none of the normal stuff, you guys already covered kind of the
Oh,
key.
I know the answer to this.
Yeah, which would you each pick?
A fucking flute. I saw this. There's this video going around of this metal band that's like the flute from Naruto, like the.
You want like
It's so hard.
a little tiny
It
piccolo?
might be a piccolo. I don't know. It's a long boy.
Oh yeah.
It sounds
Okay.
really crazy. It's like spooky and like metal at the same time.
Okay. Okay. That is definitely an interesting choice. Yeah.
Honestly, dude, I'd probably choose another woodwind. Like, I wouldn't mind a saxophone.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
True. Or like a trump.
Yeah, trumpet would be sick. Any wind instrument would be kind of cool to add.
Right?
Yeah, like a trumpet or even like a trombone would be sick. You know, get some mids in there.
Yeah. Good old brass
Whistle.
woodwind.
Yeah, it would be tight. But I don't know. We saw this wind instrument that's got it's a big long hose that plays into this pedal. I can't even remember what it was
Oh,
called.
those are like voice boxes. I don't know.
Yeah,
Talk boxes.
yeah.
Okay. So
Those are cool.
that is actually, other than bass, that is my other main.
Oh, yeah.
That and a synth.
Meant to be.
Yeah. Big
Or
fan.
synths, like any instrument. They're all so great.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I always try to like leave that one out just because I don't feel like that's quite in the realm of abstract unless you go like theremin. But
Yeah.
yikes.
Theremin would be cool. Yeah.
Theremin is if you know how to play it well, you could definitely get some gigs with it. But it is the strangest instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, but with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. What can we look forward to between, let's say, now and April?
We're working on the album. March, April, May is kind of the release goal for the album. It's going to be 10 songs.
Okay, so early summer.
Early summer's the goal. Of course, we got shows and stuff coming up. We got a show in November that we're playing here in town. You can find it on our Instagram when we post it. But playing some shows. We're definitely kind of taking more of a backseat approach for the winter. We're wanting to cool down a little bit with the shows and focus mainly on, improving our music and recording our songs. And so I'd say next 6 to 8 months is going to be recording, picking things apart, recording more, trying not to pull our hair out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And then for this next one, go ahead and look at your cameras and tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find us online. You can find us on Spotify, Under Utopia Band. You can find us on Instagram, Under Utopia Band, or underutopiaband.com. You can find us on there. We are not always the most up-to-date on our website. The best is our Instagram. That's where you'll find most of the up-to-date stuff. That's where you'll probably find our link to Jimmy's Jambox as well.
Hell yeah. Thanks for that in-episode plug. I appreciate it.
I got you, dog.
And then any other plugs, any other shout-outs, anybody else you guys would like to put on while you're on here?
Ooh.
Shout out all my friends in Portland that come to the shows.
Yeah, for real. For real.
Shout out IQ. He was on the show too.
Yes. Shout out to our boy Q.
Oh, yeah.
Big shout out to Garrett's posse. Garrett brings the fans out. I don't know.
Colton has a wife and 2 kids too.
I don't have any
They
kids,
show up.
but I do have a dog and a cat and a tortoise. But shout out to my wife. Shout out to my tortoise. Shout out to my cat.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out Jimmy's Jambox.
Oh, thank you.
Jambox.
You know, I'm going to shout out my cat, too. I'm stealing one for that.
Yeah?
Nice.
All right. But with that being said, I've got one last question to go. But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to you guys' interpretation. You can answer and whoever comes up with it first. But what is an album you each feel is more on the obscure side? It's a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
I'm going to say mine. I'm going to hope you don't cringe at me.
You're gonna say Green Day.
I'm not going to say Green Day. Not this time. The original Odd Future mixtape.
Okay.
Got a lot of really cool stuff on it. It's got Mike G. It's got Genesis, Tyler the Creator, early Frank Ocean.
Yeah.
And frankly, like as far as like a songwriter's perspective, like it's really, really well done. And the producing is excellent, and it's very original and very well put together, and a very big inspiration for anyone that wants to try to do it themselves.
Hell yeah.
Really, really good album.
Yeah, that's a great rec.
Yeah, 100.
Maybe Caius isn't one that everybody knows. It's like one of those grunge bands from the 90s, but they pretty much like took over after like Nirvana stopped doing their thing, and they were super good. I love their Blues for the Red Sun album.
Hell yeah. That is a good, I'm not familiar with that one, so now I'm super excited to check it out.
The whole thing, yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, guys, but with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm Colton.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap. This is not a podcast. This is a show.
keep jamming.